Yo, welcome to the Spaceless Realms Podcast. And I'm here with my brother Kalki. Today, we'll be speaking about poison training and how to use these certain chemicals to strengthen yourself and see how strong your bodily temple is to resist these poisons. So, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. I think it's a very important subject that very few people actually address because the truth is we're living in a world that's permeated with poisons. I think most of us know this. Most of us know there's fluoride and chlorine and heavy metals in our water. There's chemtrails in the air. There's poisons that from pesticides to
Mm,
GMOs to other added chemicals that are everywhere, omnipresent in this society, especially in the Western society. It's very difficult to have access to clean water, clean food. Um, Even the idea of certain foods being toxic, like for example, that are naturally poisonous. Another aspect of that would be like, for example, mushrooms or acid, or even marijuana is a type of. It's a consciousness modifier. It's a healing herb, but it can be poisonous to some people depending on the levels of THC. That can cause psychoactivity in the brain. That can cause disbalance. So a lot of this world in general, I feel, is just a balance between balancing the health and the poisonous aspects of life. It's like life and death in a sense. And
mm,
there's a story from a long time ago in the Epic of Gilgamesh. They mentioned that Gilgamesh was invited to the heavens, to Nibiru, to the planet of the gods and the goddesses, to actually go and eat. And he was offered the food of death and he refused. And then he found out that the food of death was actually what would have given him immortality and conferred him the status that he was looking for as a divine being. So sometimes you have to plunge in and say, I'll try this. I'll try to train with this because I think people who don't have enough resistance to these poisons, these chemicals, or who purchase those chemicals consciously instead of training with them when they're stuck in those situations, sometimes they don't actually have, they don't have the level of resistance that they need for that, and then you're buying into the system instead of resisting it. So it's very interesting. You look like a ninja, by the way.
mm. So why do people have like allergic reactions to weed or like just like bad experiences with weed?
That's a very good question. I think most of it probably has to do with the psychoactivity of
Mm,
THC in particular, because THC is the one that most people seem to have some, effects that are, say, not necessarily beneficial from, but then that can still heal over 3,000 different diseases. So I
mm.
think that's also a matter of poison training because I've had some adverse effects from THC as well over the years when I stopped smoking it for about 10 years. I
Oh,
stopped
wow.
smoking marijuana because
Huh.
I was getting paranoid and I was getting uncomfortable with it. And then I
Yeah.
started smoking it again, and now I'm smoking it on a regular basis and I don't have any problems. But it's
Yeah.
really a matter of balance, I think.
Oh yeah. I remember like after you would like smoke for a while and you get so used to like the high and everything, you just like smoke to smoke in a way. Then after you take a break and come
Exactly.
back, it's so much better. It's so much better. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that
and
goes with a lot of
something.
things.
Oh,
Like
so go ahead.
like when you do something for a certain period of time and then you take a break from it and then come back to it, it's always you always come back as like a new person into what you used to do.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. I figured it out. You look like Sub Zero right now.
Yo, that's
That's my
so
favorite
cool.
character in Mortal Kombat. So I'm like, oh,
Yo.
that's bomb.
Yeah, I
But
feel cool.
yeah, it's very interesting because ninjas, if we want to get into that aspect of it too, ninjutsu implies a lot of poison training. Bushido implies a lot of poison training. A lot of martial arts incorporate poison training into their practices because a lot of kings, queens, a lot of people back in the days that were in positions of influence had to learn emperors, empresses. They had to learn poison training in order to resist poison attempts by certain people with lethal poisons. So
Mm,
imagine if you were poison training with, cyanide or with strontium or antimony. Antimony is not just a poison; it's a healing substance as well. But there's a lot of different ways in which we can train ourselves on a daily basis without actually necessarily going out there and buying poisons. I think that on a daily occurrence, we come across a lot of situations which could be life or death for some of us. And many women could relate to that too. And many people could relate to this because if you've ever been drugged in a bar if you have enough poison training resistance, you would laugh off the drug. You wouldn't even be tired or affected by it. You would literally just be like, you would taste it in the drink, first of all, from hyper awareness, hypersensitivity. And then you drink the whole drink and be like, for example, like in Hunter x Hunter that you were watching the other day with Killua.
Yeah.
Killua gets a poison drink, right? And then just drinks the drink, and the guy's like, haha, now it's going to destroy him. And he just drinks the whole thing, and they just drink the whole thing. And then they're like, oh, can you have another one? And they're like, what? So it's very
Yeah.
interesting to see. And then many people that we consider, for example, Jesus was poisoned many, many, many times. And, even alcohol is a form of poison training as well, too. So, and then some people believe that Jesus, when he was gone for those 20 years that they don't talk about in the gospel, was going all around the planet smoking marijuana. He might have done mushrooms. He might have used some other plants, psychoactive plants as well. And Buddha himself was murdered, allegedly, according to the story, by a poisonous mushroom dish. So if Buddha had survived the poisonous mushrooms and had poison trained more, maybe he would still be alive and would have taught many other teachings as well.
I want to ask you something. So how
Mm-hmm.
do these sages, how have they trained their bodies so well that they don't need to eat for a long time and their body still stays alive? I've even read some stories of people who grow like two layers of teeth, like more teeth, like not just a standard jaw, but more, like their jaw is more developed, their brain is more developed, their pineal gland grows so much that like their head expands a lot, like.
So those are, it's essentially the easiest way I could explain it scientifically would be like a Tesla principle. A microparticle of something can feed you for a long time if you tap into the energy that it subatomically contains. Because since matter is an illusion, physical matter is an illusion, at the end of the day, we're living in a matrix. So, it's kind of like when Morpheus says, you think that's air that you're breathing. You think that this reality is real. It's not. It's all an illusion. So if you know that, you can transmute the tiniest microparticle of even a grain of hemp. For example, it's said that Buddha walked up the Himalayas with 7 grains of hemps, one per day, in 7 days.
Mhm.
So I think it's very essentially, it's like slowing down your metabolism, but then accelerating the processes of transmutation, so that some people will just, like, for example, we go to the bathroom on a regular basis usually, but I've been in situations where I don't even need to go to the bathroom for like a week.
Yeah, yeah,
So that to me is a way where you're absorbing all the protein, all the content, all the fibers, all of the minerals from that food and transmuting it directly into your body, which is extremely important to say. Again, I would say you need an ITAL, you need a vital diet to do that. You
yeah,
cannot be eating death and decay and byproducts but most people should know this already.
yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Like the amount of waste that people like waste, like the waste that comes out of them, and like how much of it's
Mm-hmm.
not actually absorbed by the body. Like
Exactly.
I've noticed like if I just eat very symbiotic foods that my body can digest completely, like yams or vegetables, fruits, everything like that, lots of water, I don't need to even go to the bathroom for like a few days.
Yeah.
Especially fasting as well. Like it's amazing. I also read
Exactly. I,
I
I
also
feel
read
like
this thing.
liquiditarianism to me is one of the most advanced diets on the face of the planet. And it really is. It's far more advanced than veganism. It's more advanced than Italism. But it's very difficult because you have to fast using only liquids. And that would be like an entire lifetime of living off of only liquids. Now, that could include soups, that could include, smoothies. So a lot of people could live off of that, but I've never met a single person in my life that's entirely liquiditarian. That's one of my goals in life, though. For my next life is to be liquiditarian.
Hmm. Yeah, when I was living in my van and I didn't really have that many necessities, I basically just lived off of water, water, just water and fruit. So
Mm-hmm.
I got like my kind of my liquids from fruit as well, and I got like my carbohydrates and my yeah, just everything from fruit and water. It was amazing. And
That makes
sun, of
sense.
course. It was during the summer, so I was like sweating so much and also drink a lot of water. It's like it was perfect. Like I felt amazing. I was definitely reverse aging much more than I am now.
No, you're doing good. I feel like it's the same thing for me. If I actually shave this beard right now, the beard makes me look a little bit more mature, but
Yeah,
the goatee, I should say. But realistically, when I shave, I look like I haven't aged, and I look at myself 20 years ago, and I looked more aged 20 years ago than I do now.
I
It's
know,
really
dude.
crazy.
Yeah, like that photo with you like holding like the samurai sword, and you have like a
Yeah,
tail on everything. Yeah, you looked probably like 30 something there, but you're only like 20.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like back then it's because I was eating byproducts and I didn't realize it. I was vegetarian, but I wasn't vegan. And
Mm.
I didn't realize that that made a huge difference in my aging process.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you've matured and expanded your awareness, you take that much more serious and you see like how much it actually impacts you. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's another reason why people should learn to poison train, because it can help you to mature gracefully, but it can actually help you and protect you from the accelerated aging processes of the poisonous chemicals in this society.
hmm, hmm. Why do people think like they may think that eating something's bad for them and they know that it's bad, but they think like it's only a little bit, so it won't affect me that much. Why do people think like that?
I think it's like something that happens so commonly in this society. There's so many poisons everywhere that at some point some people are like, okay, it's kind of like today. I bought some Smirnoff Ice. I never buy this, but I bought a case of Smirnoff Ice to make a difference from the beer. And then I realized that there was brilliant blue and sparkly red something in there, and I'm like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. I bought it already. So I think a lot of people don't. They've told me often, even my own mother, who's vegan and actually is very careful about her diet. She told me oftentimes she looks and she's like, oh, I didn't notice that was in the ingredients. And
Yeah,
then once she bought, I'm like, then go and exchange it, go trade it back and get something that's healthy. But she doesn't have the time to do that sometimes, and she just ends up eating what she's already bought without even looking at the ingredients. So I think
yeah,
much of it happens unconsciously.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, when I started to believe in myself more and believe in what I knew to be true, like 100% true, then that just like amplifies all of the thoughts that I have. And then that in turn, yeah, like you said, like activism, when you practice activism and that just like that strong belief and that strong foundation, there's really nothing that can go against it. Only yourself and only your own beliefs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like for example, like if you were to have beliefs linked with tons of other people who have told you those things, and then you live your life in those karmic patterns, um, living up to those beliefs that other people told you, then there's only a matter of time until all those beliefs are destroyed and then new ones have to be built upon those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
No,
why.
that's entirely accurate.
Yeah. That's why, like on those like temples, like on the temple entrance, they say before you come in, know yourself. Like know yourself,
Mm-hmm.
know
No sit
who
ipsum,
you
know
are.
thyself. Yep, definitely.
Hmm. Cheers.
Cheers. My voice was a little bit raspy, so I'm like, I need a sip.
Hmm. Let's talk about why people avoid things that are difficult.
I
Why
think
do they
it's
even want
easy
to
to
take the
pick the
easy
easy
route?
path.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't want to push themselves. They want to be comfortable. They want an easy option. They want an easy out. It's like kind of like when you're playing the video game, you know, to give it a twist in that sense. A lot of people play video games. You're playing the video game of life. A lot of people will choose the easy setting because they'd be like, why am I going to put it on hard? I don't want my life to be hard. But they don't realize that it's a lot more rewarding when you're actually living in that hard setting,
Yeah.
because then somebody says, oh, you beat the video game. Yeah, what setting? Somebody says, well, easy. Like, oh, well, yeah, okay, you beat it at easy. Have you beaten it on expert or extra hard? And some people
Yeah.
are like, man, I'm not gonna do that. I'll get beat the fuck up. I'm never gonna pass the game. But it's like once you get to that level, it's kind of like you've played it enough times that you realize the easy setting isn't challenging to you anymore. And then a lot of people are like, haha, I'm beating up all the super villains and the bad guys. But yeah, but you're on easy setting. So it's
Yeah.
not realistic. But if you put it on expert and then you're like, oh, they're all kicking my ass. I'm like, yeah, but eventually you'll get so good at that. You'll train so well on a martial arts level or on a magical level, on a supernatural level, that
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to achieve almost the impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's super important to push yourself in those levels. But I mean, I can't tell everyone to go push themselves on the expert level right from the start. You want to master. If you want to start with easy, you start with easy. For example, when I played Call of Duty, Black Ops with my partner at the time, I started on the easy setting because I was like, I'm not good with this. I didn't even know how to start loading the gun or shooting the gun to the zombies. I didn't know. In the zombie mode, I was like, how am I? And the zombies started attacking me. I didn't even know how to shoot. So I'm like, put it on easy, please. But then I started getting better. We put it on medium. And then we even put it a little bit tougher. And I didn't last very long, but at least it was a good experience.
Mm. Wow. No, that's so like life-changing to put yourself through that test. Yeah, like a mantra that I stand by is like the with more power comes more responsibility. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just about harnessing the power.
Yeah. And there's a really good mantra that kind of fits with that to me, too. That's by Margaret Mead, who wrote Coming of Age in Samoa, who's a really amazing anthropologist. And she's from way back in the days. She might even have passed away now. I'm not too sure, but please forgive me if she's not. But she's from, I think she wrote Coming of Age in Samoa in like the mid 1900s, and amazing book. And she said, I believe it's in that book where she says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world, for indeed it is the only thing that ever has." And to me, that's a mantra that I live by too, because I realize that most people, they want to play on the easy setting.
Mhm.
They're like, who's going to change the world? Not me. I'm not there to change the world. I'm not full of myself. And I'm like, yeah, but then it's only a small group of people that end up actually trying to change the world, because everyone else is like, well, that's unrealistic. I can't do that.
Mhm.
And then the other people that are trying to do it, they're like, well, I'm not changing the world, but I'm trying. But then the people that aren't even trying are like, well, I'm trying to. I'm not changing the world. I'm not delusional like you. I'm not thinking I'm changing the world, but we're all just human beings at the end of the day. I'm like, no, there's mutants, there's supernatural beings, there's dryads, naiads, nymphs, there's fays, there's elves, there's vampires, there's orcs, there's dragons. The people in human form are not necessarily their totemic form. There's many
Mm.
different clans that represent the whole spectrum of the supernatural.
Wow, man, we could do a whole podcast talking about human form versus totemic form. Like
Mm-hmm. Very good point. So you
that's
see
really
someone
cool.
who's like 400 or 500 pounds. Sometimes they might be a sumo wrestler. They might be a dragon. They might be from the dragon clan. They might be somewhere else. It doesn't necessarily mean they're overweight. But it's complex issue, because then it really goes down to a lot of different genetic factors, social factors, psychochemical factors, um, you know, or psychosocial and biochemical.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's very complex.
Interesting. Hmm. All right, well, honestly, I feel like that's a good place to leave it off. And yeah, I want to write that down. I would love to do a talk on like human form versus people's totemic form and how to unlock that totemic form. Yeah,
I would
that's
love that.
sick.
That sounds bomb.
Yeah, so I bless the space. Thank you to everyone who tuned in
Likewise.
today. Thank you for everything that we shared today. And yeah,
Yo,
brother,
thank you and thank everyone.
I bless infinity. Peace out.
Pleasure. Yo,